Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over our buy, sells, and dividends for October 6th through the 12th. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so I did want to point this out here. It does appear that SCHD had a stock split of some kind. Again, we don't have SCHD anymore, but for those of you out there that do have it, if you're not aware, there was apparently some kind of stock split. 3-1 is pretty much what it looks like right here. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the dividends. We'll start with that first. So in terms of dividends that we got paid here on M1 Finance, again, it's not a big week. We usually get most of the dividends that we get on M1 Finance kind of at the end of the month or the start of the month. I can show you that right here. You can see, like, for example, if I scroll back here, you can see how many different ones pop up basically at the end of last month. So you got SEHD, ACP, SVOL, BSTZ, OPP, CLM. Again, a lot of these we don't have a lot of shares of yet. We used to, but we plan on reaccumulating at some point here in the future. And then you see QYLD, CLM, RYLD, CLM again, and so on, so on. All right, so, and then of course we have the first here. You can see a lot of the ones that pop up on the first as well. A lot of dividend paying stocks are actually pretty notorious for paying sort of towards the end of the month, the start of the month. It's actually quite difficult to find some that paid, the second, third week or somewhere in between there, somewhere between like the 5th to the 25th. It's very difficult to find ETFs or dividend paying stocks that pay those. If you guys want a video about those, I can try to do some research for y'all and maybe give some suggestions here as to what you might consider buying. And kind of go over those in detail. You'll just have to let me know down below if that's something you want to do. Okay, so in terms of the dividends that we actually got paid here, so we got $1.71 from TLTW. Again, TLTW, like TMF and TLT, is basically an inverse to Fed play. So when the Fed cuts rates, the share price of these should go up. Now, these do pay monthly dividends, so I suspect as the share price goes up, the dividend payment for TLTW is likely going to go up because, again, it does look like they're doing a buy-right strategy, which is basically just buying the shares and selling covered calls on it. And I would assume that's on the underlying, which is TLT. So BTO, 14 cents. MPW, it's, again, I don't know why these keep getting split, but 216, 96 cents. Philip Morris, yes, we did used to own Philip Morris and Altria Group. We had quite a few shares of those. I know it's considered to be a sin stock. A lot of people don't like investing in it, and look, I'll just say this. Do I feel bad about the health consequences of people that smoke? Yes. But people choose to do what they choose to do of their own free will. These people are grown adults. If they choose to do it, it's their choice. I can't stop people from doing things that they know are wrong, and I can't it's not my place to interfere in people's free will. That's everybody's God-given rights. So $39.23 here from Nvidia, and that pretty much wraps up the M1 Finance dividends. So I'm trying to remember which one it was. I believe it's this one. So $42.50 from M1 Finance. So I'm actually going to go to Webull first. So we still have the ORC, still waiting for it to get to break even. Do I think I can get back to $15? Yes, I do. I think we're just going to need the Fed to come out and print money for the stock market to really seriously start ripping, have that $6 trillion wall of money sitting in money market funds to roll back into assets. And then we should see these things start to moonshot, even things that a lot of people would consider to be, oh, well, they're not cash flow machines. They're worthless, right? You know how some people are. Even things like the ARC ETF, which again, in my opinion, I think it is a good position to hold for the future, but it's not like a today position. It's like, in my opinion, the underlying stocks that they're invested into, maybe with the exception of Coinbase and Tesla, are probably like 5 to 10 years in the future kind of cash flow, not necessarily cash flow for today. Okay, so ORC, we did get a dividend payment, but again, that's not for this week. This is actually a late payment. Again, these usually come pretty late on Webull, like a few days at least. I'm not sure why. But the dividend payment from this one would have been on the 4th, and you guys can see it popped up literally 3 days later. So it's $34.30. Again, just wanted to show you that. That's not actually for this week, but did want to show you guys that regardless. Okay, so Whoops, I actually did not mean to do that. Well, anyways, there's the holdings. So I need to go back to activity. Okay, I wanted to go to trading. This is what I wanted to do. So trading here, we take a look at the different buys and sells. So basically just sold PDI. Again, we're kind of slowly scaling out of this one as it goes up. It's not that we're not bullish on it. It's just, it makes sense to take profit and reposition into something that's cheaper. In this case, ACP is cheaper. It's sitting at support, so we decided to go ahead and get some of that. Okay, next one here, basically just buying back into PDI at a reduced rate. You guys already know how we do this. We've talked about this plenty of times in the past. Okay, so the grayscale trusts, same thing. Haven't bought, haven't sold. We have no intention of selling at a loss. Just so y'all know, you guys are like, oh, well, I'm sitting at a loss. Guys, we're sitting at a loss on crypto too, okay? But it's not actually a loss unless you sell. And again, we're in Q4 bullish seasonality. The bullishness is probably going to start pretty quickly here. I mean, October sometimes has uncertainty, but once we get into November, it's over. November, December, January should be pretty much straight up. So yeah, we're just kind of set on this. Again, once we get to break even, we'll be back up to I don't know how much this is, like 1,400 or something like that. But even if we don't add more to it, we probably won't sell until we get at least like a 3-4x return on this. Okay, so now going over to the native crypto portfolio. You guys can see all the different positions we have here. Again, nothing has changed. There's been no buys or sells this week. There are reasons for that. So it's not because of the uncertainty. It's just for personal reasons that we're not going to discuss here. So Filecoin, you guys can see we still have the same position. It's kind of fluctuating in price. Hasn't really started moonshotting again. I'm not expecting any of these altcoins to really start popping off until probably Q1 of next year. Because again, Bitcoin has to top out at 150,000, 200,000, whatever it's going to be, and then money flows from that into ETH and altcoins. That's how it works. Okay. So we got Filecoin, AIOZ, Dash, Horizon Render, Banker, Kronos, Ethereum. We do actually have more Ethereum than this. It's just not on here. Scale, Edging Coin, Wrapped Luna. Pretty sure we're never going to get our money back on that. But if it does go in massively into profit one day, we may try to find a way to cash out. The short story on that is the thing collapsed and pretty much went to zero. I can't remember exactly. I think we put like $600 in or something like that. They didn't have the actual Luna Classic on here, so we bought the Wrapped Luna because again, it was so cheap. It was just like, dude, this is a steal. If this thing goes back up, it could do 100, 1,000, 10,000x. So we bought into it thinking it was going to go back up, and it got delisted. So if this thing ever does go back up to anywhere close to where it used to be at the all-time highs or even half of that, it's going to be a lot of money. I'll just tell you that. So Litecoin, and then, that's pretty much just the main holdings right now. So we still have these, plan on adding more in the future. Just not sure exactly when it's going to be, but it probably won't be that long. Okay, so now going over to Robinhood. So I want to first list off the dividend payments that we actually received. So GPIX 35 cents, GPIC 42 cents, YMAG 68.25, NVIDIA $281.23, QDTE $30.30, YMAX 55.69, MRNY 37.62, XDTE 15.91. In terms of MRNY, I am aware that this one has kind of gotten beaten to the dust. It really does look bad. I'm not going to lie. It's down a lot. The unrealized loss here is substantial, but again, the profits and dividends do offset this to some extent. It is down a lot. I won't lie. But if mRNA at some point, especially when the Fed prints money, does have a resurgence, this and Tesla is likely going to moonshot because, again, when money is cheapest, that's when everybody wants to borrow it or spend it. That's usually how it works. Besides, the profits that we're going to make on crypto and other sources of income should easily offset if we have to take a loss on this, which again is not really a substantial loss. That's that amount right there is less than 1% of our total net worth. So, we can deal with that. It's not really an issue. Okay, so before we go any further, with the dividend portfolios, I did want to show you guys something. So sorry if this is taking so long. I don't know why this has to refresh or reload. It gets kind of old having to deal with this. All right, so I've been pointing out to you guys for weeks that NVIDIA was going to have a massive breakout. And guess what happened? It had a massive breakout. Okay, so we have a golden cross on the RSI on the weekly time frame, which again is the largest time frame we typically look at. MACD is about to get that golden cross, and you can see this massive green candle outside of that previous resistance. So what do I think is going on right now? Well, NVIDIA had a big move up. It needed time to consolidate before moving up further, which is exactly how it played out. And my guess is that it's starting to move up ahead of earnings. Okay, so November 14th, we've seen this plenty of times. I mean, it's literally history on repeat. Okay, you see, we get the breakout here, like this. In this instance, this is a you could basically call this like a bull flag. We get the breakout of the bull flag. Boom, it moves up ahead of earnings, and then earnings happens. We get a gap up, and then we take off to the moon. Kind of same thing back here. It's not perfect, but you can see the break of the trend line. What happened before earnings? It moved up ahead of earnings, kind of had a consolidation move, moved up. Didn't break out before earnings, but you get the point. It's kind of history and repeat here. Same thing. Move up into earnings, broke above that flat top there, and boom, took off to the moon. So I suspect NVIDIA is doing the same thing. And again, I just want to reiterate that my price target for NVIDIA, and this could very easily happen by the end of the year. It could even happen before December, and it would not shock me. So my next, okay, not that high. So my next price target for NVIDIA at this point is going to be roughly about $170, just so y'all know. And again, that's basically just that bottom fib level. It's not really all that much of a stretch. I mean, this move on NVIDIA would be roughly about 26%, which again, I do think is possible. I mean, NVIDIA has a lot of upside potential. I mean, we're talking about AI implications, chips being made for just about everything you can think in existence on this planet. Again, when it comes to NVIDIA, we're thinking like grand scale here. We're not thinking like just the United States, okay? Although the United States is and probably will do a lot of business with NVIDIA, we're thinking like hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars here in applications, okay? Massive amounts of money and earnings and all that stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if NVIDIA was at like $300, $400, $500 a share, even after the stock split they just had in, I'd say about by 2030. I wouldn't be shocked. Okay, so now going back over the dividend portfolio. So I want to show you guys this in actual real time. So the total dividends here are $489.14. All right, so I'm going to run through these real quick. So basically still got the one share of GPIX and GPIC. We've already gone over the price performance of this one. It looks good. We're just waiting to get bags filled on other ones to get into these afterwards. So yeah, just one share of each. So 35 cents on the 8th. Oh yeah, and just so y'all know, I did read that comment about the one. I don't know who it is, but the one person was like, "Oh yeah, it doesn't matter who gets elected. You're not going to succeed." I'm like, dude, the worst thing that anybody can ever tell us to do is that we're not going to be able to achieve something, because then that just makes us even more determined to do it. So 42 cents here from GPIC. Okay, so scrolling down the list here, the next one is going to be on YMAG. YMAG's performance has actually done quite well. It's held up better than YMAX. Again, I kind of suspect that YMAX is being weighed down a little bit by, Tesla's probably part of the problem, but mainly because of the crypto plays. Okay, so $68.25 as of 21 hours ago. See, NVIDIA. So the price kind of has stagnated at 25. Hopefully it keeps going back up. That would be great. So $281.23. Going down to the next one here, QDTE. And just so y'all know, I do think this upcoming week in the stock market is going to be a massively green week. Okay. There are reasons for that. PPI came in lower, and the first three big earnings that we got were massive beats, and every single one of those stocks ripped. That's a pretty good indicator of where the markets are going to go, which, in my opinion, is probably going to be up. Okay, so $30.30 from this one. Okay, next one on the list here, YMAX. $55.69. Next one here, MRNY, $37.62. And XDTE, which would be the last one here, this is the S&P 500 one. This one has actually held up very well in terms of price. I mean, it's literally only down 1%. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. The dividends being extremely juicy, and I mean, it's pretty much almost flat from where it incepted at, but that's kind of the point of these ETFs, is to stay relatively flat like SPYT and pay as much dividends as possible. So $15.91. Okay, so now going over the options premiums for the week. Again, we don't have all of the money available to us, not even close to all of the money available to us actually in the markets right now. We always like to keep some cash on the side just in case. And to be able to buy the dip, because you never really know how these markets are going to act from one day to the next. August is a good example of that. That's not an omen. I'm not saying that the markets are going to crash. They're not going to crash, guys. I'm pretty confident about that. Q4 is very bullish, but I'm just saying we think it's always wise to have some. Warren Buffett does the same thing. So NVIDIA 10-4 open cash secured put closing date 10-11, $150 times one contract. We closed early for 80, so $70 in premium or $70 in total profit. NVIDIA again opening date 10-7 cash secured put closing date 10-11, $140 times one contract. Closed for $65, so I think that's 75 in total profit. BITX 10-7 cash secured put. Exit date. Let's see here. Exit date 10-11. So we got $60 in premiums for this. We actually paid $117 to get out. So we took a loss on this one of roughly about $57. But again, it's not a big deal. We're not worried about small losses here and there because we've made quite a bit of money over the last 18 to 24 months. So NVIDIA 10-8 cash secured put, 10-18 exit date 225 times one. Early close of 155, so that's about 70 in profit. NVIDIA again 10-9 closing date 10-18 189 times one. We closed for $115, so that's about 75 in profit. NVIDIA again 10-11 closing date 10-18 $165 times one contract closed for 131, so that's about 35 in profit. And last one here 10-11 cash secured put closing date 10-18. That one's still open. You can see it right here. And that's $145 times one contract. And again, the reason why we have been taking profits on these is because it just makes sense. I mean, this is a 2x leverage play. The value of the options contract will move extremely fast in one direction or another. So if it's decaying faster than expected, then it makes sense for us to just buy it back cheaper. And then we always try to open any cash secured put or covered call we do on a Friday, assuming the markets are open, because again, during the weekend, you kind of get that theta decay that eats away at the value of the contract. So it makes it much cheaper to close earlier if you want to. Like, for example, say we do one contract of NVDL that's 140 for a week. And then we open that on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday rolls by. Well, on Monday, if we didn't open it on Friday and we waited till Monday, then the contract value would probably still be somewhere around 140. But if we open it on Friday, let the theta decay eat away over the weekend on that particular play, then it could be 90, 80, 70 by Monday. So essentially half of the value of the contract gets eaten away, which means that if we choose to close it early, we would make about half the profit literally just by sitting on the position for one day, even if the price doesn't move. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. So in terms of the that is actually not what I wanted to do here. So in terms of the total that we got paid for the week, so $872.68. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.